The Stanley Cup playoffs got underway for the New Jersey Devils, and it was a disappointing start. Trey Matthews of Locked On Devils has the latest injury updates and what it'll take for New Jersey to get back into the series. All that and more coming up next on today's Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here, and welcome everybody to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show the host of Locked On New Jersey Devils, Trey Matthews. And Trey, a little bit of a rough start for the Devils on Sunday in Game 1 against the Carolina Hurricanes. What was the biggest problem that the Devils had in this game?
Oh, where do I begin? I think the two biggest things were lack of time in their offensive end, turnovers in neutral ice, injuries, slow start, not backing up their goalie, putting too much pressure on Jacob Markstrom's shoulders, not good on the special teams. I can go on.
Markstrom at least did seem to play pretty well, though.
Yeah, Markstrom was really good, and ultimately that's what it's going to come down to if the Devils do want to squeak away and advance to the next round. They're going to have to rely on Jacob Markstrom and Jake Allen, which is kind of ironic because back in 2023, one of the reasons why the Devils got bounced out in the second round by the Hurricanes was their weak goaltending because they had Vitek Vanacek and Akira Schmid. Their offense was good. Their defense was pretty solid, but their goaltending was the biggest question mark. Now, fast forward to 2025, their goaltending is strong. Their offense can sometimes be hot or cold. This time it was cold, and their defense is anywhere from solid to mediocre.
How do the Devils adjust and cut down the number of shots they gave up?
Well, it starts with not turning the puck over. I think that's what the Devils need to do because you saw it right from the opening jump, which was they were turning the puck over in neutral ice. And if you can't sustain a good structure in neutral zone, you're not going to go off and running. You're not going to go on the attack. And that's what the Devils struggled with mightily, just not handling the puck all that well. And another example, as a result, why the Hurricanes were able to score their first goal, Devils lost a faceoff. And if you lose a faceoff, you lose possession of the puck, obviously. So there's just so many things that the Devils need to fix if they really want to make this a competitive series. It's going to be an uphill battle for them, but we knew that for quite some time.
Talk to me about the injuries. I know we discussed three of them that took place in this game, although one of the players did manage to return.
Yeah, Luke Hughes, it looked like he went down with a serious upper body injury. He was favoring his shoulder. Worth mentioning that Luke Hughes missed the beginning of the season due to recovering from a shoulder injury. It was great that he came back in the game because the Devils need Luke Hughes on the back end, especially with Jonas Siegenthaler still out with injury. Brendan Dillon, he's a tough customer. So when he goes down, you know it's serious. He wasn't really putting any pressure on his lower body. He went down the tunnel with the training staff. Apparently, according to Sheldon Keefe, he did want to re-enter the game, but the training staff said no. They wanted to keep him out for precautionary reasons. And I don't have an update on Cody Glass. Unfortunately, while Jacob Markstrom was good, friendly fire toward Cody Glass, which is why Glass went down with his injury.
Do we know upper body, lower body?
Lower body. It seemed to be lower body, but what had happened was that somebody was in front of Markstrom, and Markstrom was trying to use his paddle to get that Hurricanes player away. I believe it was Andrei Svechnikov, and unfortunately, Cody Glass was in the line of fire, and as soon as Markstrom's paddle touched him, Glass went down with an injury. So that's why I said it was friendly fire, and I guess that's just how it went for the Devils all game long. They couldn't catch a break.
Besides Markstrom, who played pretty well, any other things that you think the Devils can build on from this game?
Well, when it comes to their offense, I hate to say this might be controversial, but given how inconsistent the offense can be at times, I think you need to split up Nico Hischier and Jesper Bratt so that way you have more scoring options up and down your lines. We saw that Nico Hischier, he scored the lone goal in the game for the Devils. Jesper Bratt got the primary assist. We were talking about it in the group chat in which at the Pucks and Pitchforks group chat, which is the site I work at on FanSided. We were saying like maybe the Devils should try to split those two players up so that way they can spread out their scoring just a little bit more. But like I said, you can't really score if you don't have time in your offensive end.
So what has to change? I mean, ideally, you want to, as the road team, win one of the two games in the other team's building. What has to change in game 2 for the Devils to accomplish that mission?
They need to get off to better starts. And unfortunately, that's been a struggle for them all season long. They haven't really been good in the first period. The second period, they're able to turn around just a little bit. And we saw it in this game. Nico Hischier, he was able to score in the second period to cut the lead to 2, but it was too little too late. The Devils are good when it comes to closing out games, but when it comes to come from behind efforts, they fall short. So that's what needs to change. They need to be able to either tie the game or have a lead going into the third period. Because here's some stats for you, Gil. When leading after the second, the Devils this season were 35-1-2. When tied after the second, they were 6-8-3. When trailing after the second, they were 1-24-2.
Wow.
So quite the difference between leading and trailing, with being tied being somewhat in the middle. So if the Devils really want to make this a competitive series, they have to have a lead going into the second, or they cannot be trailing, because that's one of their biggest flaws.
And how about scoring the first goal? How important has that been for them this season?
Well, that's been a joke the last couple of years, where it's just like we say on social media 1-0 them, because you know how like on the social media admin for teams, they'll say 1-0 other team or 1-0 them. That's been a running joke on the Devils discourse. So like I said, they're not really a good first period team, but the second period, that's when they're able to get their game together. And I think that's what they're going to have to rely on. You can get off to a good start in the first period and not be leading, but just make sure it's nothing insurmountable. And in this game, they were trailing 1-0 going into the first intermission, nothing insurmountable. And honestly, they should be thanking Jacob Markstrom for keeping it a 1-0 affair. Unfortunately, Logan Stankoven, he scored 2 unanswered goals, and you just knew the Devils weren't going to win.
Give me a player or two players who you think could help springboard the Devils back into this series.
Well, I'm looking at some depth assets. We know that Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt, Jacob Markstrom, Dougie Hamilton, Timo Meier, the star players. We already know what they need to bring. But going into this game, Erik Haula, he had 10 points, 6 goals, 4 assists, and a plus-minus rating of +5 since March 7th. Dawson Mercer, same thing, 10 points since March 7th. Andre Palat, 101 points in 150 career playoff games. So those are some depth assets I'm looking at for the Devils to really help them in this series.
Yeah, well, it should be interesting. I know, without Jack Hughes, it's a bit of a challenge for the Devils, but we'll see how they do. Trey, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
You can find me on X at TreyMatt4 and the show on X as well at Locked On Devils. You can get Locked On Devils wherever you get your podcast from, available on YouTube and all streaming platforms.
All right, Trey, thank you so much.
Thank you, Gil.
Today's episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite TV shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Plus, with 4K streaming, you can watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. It's available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. Check it out today.